Welcome back to another Legends of the FIRE movement video, where I take a deep dive into how they did it. Today we are looking at Dave, who runs the Strong Money Australia blog and also co-hosts the popular Fire and Chill podcast with Pat the Shuffler. And guys, get this, he retired at age 28. Many of you probably won't have heard of Dave, but one of the most inspiring parts of his story is that he was just a normal guy who worked a normal job. No high-paying software engineering jobs in sight. Right, so let's get into his story. At age 18, Dave moved from Victoria in Australia to Perth to look for strong job opportunities and started working full-time. After a year or so of work, he became disillusioned with the prospect of being stuck in a day job for the majority of his adult life and made a decision to change his path. As Dave puts it on his blog, I became disillusioned with work. I noticed how many people were just trudging along, unhappy and unsatisfied, working week after week just to pay the bills with no end in sight. Frankly, this terrified me. After a while, I simply could not accept this future for myself. There has to be another way, I thought. After a few years, he had already ramped up his savings rate to around 50% and, like many of us hardcore FIRE fanatics, went down the rabbit hole of learning how to build wealth, and by the age of 21, Dave and his partner were both all in on the goal of achieving FIRE. As in the UK, Australia also gets very excited by the prospect of investment property, and initially Dave and his partner chose this route, buying their first property when Dave was aged 22, with their savings rate now up to around 60%. Over the next few years, they continued to save hard, optimise and buy rental properties, and also renovated their house, but when they hit the threshold of their borrowing capacity, they started to look more into other investment options available to them. It was at about age 26 when Dave started to learn more about investing in shares as a more passive income source, and the more they learned, the more they realised that they could probably retire and have more cash flow with less hassle if they transitioned their wealth from property into shares. So they began selling down the properties and building up their share portfolio. Initially, they followed the Peter Thornhill method of dividend investing. They focused on using Australian listed investment companies known as LICs, which are also known as investment trusts in the UK because of their ability to smooth dividend payments over time. I've done a summary video on Peter Thornhill's excellent book called Motivated Money, so I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. After listening to the Fire and Chill podcast, I think Dave is probably more focused on buying broad-based low-cost index funds and ETFs now, and is continuing to diversify his portfolio by increasing the exposure to international companies as well. At age 28, Dave and his partner had hit their FIRE number and stepped away from full-time work. They are now gradually selling down their property portfolio, using the money from the sales to live on and continuing to build their share portfolio. They also earn a bit of part-time income too, and Dave earns some money through his blog, which fits with what I often see in the FIRE community, with people continuing to pursue their passions and earn a bit of money even when they are retired. After all, financial independence isn't about retirement for most people from what I see. It's about freedom and options to be in control of your own time. I think one of the most inspiring parts of Dave's story is that he didn't go to an expensive uni. Actually, he didn't go to uni at all and worked mainly as a forklift truck driver. Him and his partner earned around 75,000 Australian dollars before tax each, which is equivalent to around just over £40,000 in the UK. And as far as I can see with a very quick Google search, it's not much above the average annual salary in Australia. Not a low household by any stretch, but it goes to show how much you can achieve if you work hard, save and invest as much as possible, set suitable goals early and see them through.